we're happy to answer any questions you have. I will just remind everyone that we are recording this session for your colleagues today. So if you have any questions that are specific to your experience with exams, you may want to save those and come talk to us one-on-one. But we certainly are happy to answer any general questions that you have. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Is it clicking? Okay, so the first thing that we're going to go through is why are we using Exam4 this year? How should you prepare? And what else do you need to know generally about this year's exams? So I believe you all should know by now, if you're reading your emails, that the Georgetown University has decided to retire all of our homegrown customized systems, especially the ones supported by Cold Fusion, because we can no longer support them and there are cyber issues and concerns. So we've had to select a new exam platform to administer exams for this academic year. If you have questions about that, you should have received an email yesterday from the registrar's office, and we're also happy to follow up on any questions you have about that afterward. But today we're really going to focus on the instructions for how to use Exam4. So as I mentioned, we're discontinuing the use of customized electronic systems for several reasons. And we had a panel of different departments and offices who got together and reviewed all of that information and made a decision in the recognition that Exam4 best meets our needs at this time. And so we are now going to move forward with going through the instructions on how to use Exam4. One note, some of you might have received emails or heard concerns from fellow students about the operating system. Xtegrity, which is the developer of Exam4, does now support all operating systems for fall 2018. So you can go ahead and make those updates to your computers. And a new version of the software will be released, most likely October 31st, as soon as this October exam window is closed. And you'll be able to download, install, and test that software. You will receive an announcement from the registrar's office when it's available for use. And so generally, what you're going to do to prepare for exams this year, you're going to want to go to the Office of the Registrar's website and take a look at the information that's there. There are detailed instructions, really slide-by-slide, picture-by-picture instructions on how to use Exam4, everything you need to know about it. You're going to also find some infographics with some summaries and charts, and also a list of FAQs. You'll also find this presentation in case you have any questions that you want to go back and check. After you read all of those instructions, you're going to go ahead and download the software when it's available, install it on your computer, and you need to test it. So that means taking some practice exams. We strongly encourage you to take those in all of the available exam modes, so open and network, closed, and take-home. We're going to go through all of that in a few minutes, what that all means. But you want to test the exam software in different modes to make sure that everything is compatible and that you understand how it all works before you get to your exams. Make sure that when you do take a practice exam, you don't just open it, but that you actually submit it. That's how you're going to know whether you're going to run into any sort of tech issues. So be sure to actually submit those practice exams. And also, we're going to tell you where to find your exam number for this year, and we want you to know who to call in case you run into any issues during exams or during practicing with the practice exams. So Linda is going to go through the nuts and bolts here of how to install and test.
So the Exam4 install and test. You want to install and run Exam4 software on your laptop. And again, as Tiffany stated, the links will be available on or around October the 31st. You will get an email from our office with that specific links, and you will be able to go in to do your actual practice in class and practice take-home exams as many times as you choose. Again, you want to actually submit your practice exam to make sure that you're able to complete the full process and not have any technical issues when trying to do so. You'll be instructed to download and install once per semester. Right now we have our October exams, which are currently in session. And so those specific students were giving their specific information and a link to access and practice and download and be able to submit their exams. If you're a student who also has an October exam, but you also have a December exam, you're going to be prompted to another new link to actually install the software that is going to be operable with the Mojave and the Windows operating system. Again, we recommend taking testing multiple exam modes, in-class practice exam, open and closed. Take-home practice exam is take-home only. And again, we're going to explain what those are further in the slides. Take-home exams. On the day of your take-home exams, you will encounter 3 points of contact. You would need to know your 5-digit exam number, and you will locate that number on your online exam management system. When you go to that web page, you will go through the prompts. When you actually get to the page, it's a 5-digit number, and it's actually going to be in green font. The Exam4 answer software, you're going to launch that from your laptop. And the Exam4 answer questions, you're going to access that from the Exam4 website. Again, you'll launch your software, but you will submit your submit the exam via the software. The exam number, your exam number will be located as just stated on the online exam paper management system. This is the actual link, and again, this information is listed on our website. And as you can see, it's the 5-digit number, 12345. This is just an example, but again, when you all access that page, your numbers will be there in bold, and it will also be in the green font. Open take-home exam answer files before exam questions. First, you want to open your answer file, and your answer file is the actual software. You're going to launch from Exam4, then you'll enter exam mode, which would be take-home. Then you'll choose Begin Exam, and at this time, the exam time does not start when you're launching your software. Your exam time is actually going to start when you're going to open up another browser, and you're going to go to www.exam4.com. You're going to go through your prompts there. It's going to ask you, prior to this point, it'll ask you for your 5-digit exam ID number, and it'll also ask you for a password. This is only in the take-home mode. There will never be a password, so you always would leave that field blank. Pause and return to take-home exam. You may save, close, or later reopen a take-home exam. However, we want to stress in doing so, the best time that you would want to do this is when you say have a 6 or 8 hour or 24-hour exam. There's an options in the toolbar that you can be able to go through the prompts to be able to pause your exam. Read the instructions on the registrar's website carefully to learn how to open and close an exam without submitting it electronically. Submit a take-home exam. Leave time for spell check. Available but not automatic. In Word or in Office, we had where the spell check would automatically, you would get like an underline up under the word, or you would get like that type of prompt when you had a misspelled word. Well, within Exam4 software, that is not the case. You would have to plan for time prior to the exam ending at the end to access the toolbar to actually perform a spell check. The start and end time will be displayed in Eastern Time, but the confirmation will be displayed in Coordinated Universal Time. So and it's just stating that, like say right now, say you had an exam and it was due by 5 p.m. On your end, you're going to actually see 5 p.m., but when you get that exam submit successful code, it's going to have a time that's different than 5 p.m. because it's in UTC time. The software does not include a continuous timer. You are responsible for tracking your progress and submitting the exam on time. So when you go into the website to download your actual exam, if it's a timed exam, it'll say that this exam is due in 2 hours, and it'll tell you the time. However, the timer is not going to count down for you. You are, the onus is on the student to keep track of that time. The software will not close automatically at the end of the exam window. So when you go through to where you have actually gone through all the prompts and you've submitted your exam electronically, and you get the receipt that says exam successfully submitted, it'll be in bright green, a bright green bar. That'll be your confirmation code. It'll have the time there and it'll have a confirmation number. I think that number is 4 digits if I'm not mistaken. After you have that information, you're able to log out and close down the software. In-class exams. On the day of your exams, you should know the following: how to access your exam number, and again, that's your 5-digit number on the online exam management system. How to launch the Exam4 software, how to correctly enter the exam mode, and how to submit your exam. Begin in-class exam. You're going to enter your 5-digit exam number found on the online exam management system. You're going to launch Exam4 for your laptop. And then the in-class is different than the take-homes. You know, that process did not change. There will be a proctor in the room during that time, and the proctor will be manually or physically, my apologies, handing you out the hard copies of your exam. The proctor will provide instructions in the exam room and will call the official start time and let you know when to click begin exam. The proctor will keep the official time in the exam room. And again, that process did not change. All the rooms have a clock located in them, and the proctors for the in-class exam will be using the clock in the room. Enter exam mode. You must enter an exam mode before starting an in-class exam. And what that means, your professor is going to be giving information to where they will only say whether it's going to be a closed book, whether it'll be open plus network, open or closed. The 3 in-class exam modes, the open plus network means that students will have access to the hard drive and access to the internet. Open book will mean that students will have access to the hard drive only and no access to the internet. And closed book, the students will not have any access to the hard drive nor the internet. Everything will be closed out. If the professor specifies, you will be able to have hard copies of your notes if the professor specifies that. The exam mode will be located on the exam cover sheet. And again, when you go in to choose your exam mode, you just make sure that when you do so, that the exam mode that you're choosing on the software is the exact same mode that the professor has specified on the exam cover sheet. Selecting the incorrect mode will be considered a violation of the student disciplinary code. Submit in-class exam. Again, you want to leave time for spell check available but not automatic, because it's not, again, it's not like Word. It's not going to prompt you if and when you have misspelled a word. The proctor will call a 5-minute and a 2-minute warning. And the proctor will announce the end time for the exam. The timer, again, in the Exam4 software is deactivated. And it's deactivated for a reason, because again, in the in-class exams, the proctors are keeping track of the time, and the time is always called and taken in account by the clock that's in the exam room. You should submit electronically before or at the announcement. So that's just as it's stated. Once the proctors go through the process, again, they'll do the 5-minute warning, they'll do the 2-minute warning, and then they'll tell you when to stop. At that point, when you are instructed to stop, you would go through the electronic submission process at that time. What else do I need to know? If you wish to step away from your exam, you can protect your work using the screen shield, which is available in Tools. So just as it states, in your Tools bar, when you're in the Exam4 software, say you want to get up and go to the restroom, or you want to go out to refill your water bottle, you go in the toolbars and you click on the screen shield, this big bright green circle will cover the screen of your laptop. That's so no one else can see or review, look at your work while you're away from your desk. When you return, you would just go back in, declick it, and it will disappear, and you just restart back up on your exam file. Take-home exam answers are accessible to students after submission on their laptops, but in-class answers are encrypted and must be obtained from the registrar during the exam review process. Read the Exam4 instructions and submit a practice test at least 48 hours before your first exam. And we highly stress this. Even if you don't want to wait 48 hours, just don't wait until 24 hours of, or the morning of, or say if you have a 6 p.m. exam, don't wait up until just a few hours prior to them, because if you may experience any difficulties, we want to be able to have time to troubleshoot with you and for you. So we highly stress, go in, take as many practice exams as you want in all the different modes, to make sure that your laptop is completely operable in the accessing mode and the submission mode. Exam4 tech support. This is it. Okay, and Tiffany's going to pick up from here.
Sorry, can I just ask a quick question about practice exam?
Yeah.
So if you submit a practice exam and like the take-home mode, can you view those answers, or will the software encrypt them?
Yes, you can view the answers, and we did have a question about that yesterday, and double-checked with Exam4 today that you can, in practice mode, access those take-home answers that you're practicing. All right. So when you're downloading the software and you've installed it in your computer and you're doing all those practice tests, that's where we want you to try and practice so we can catch those tech issues before you get to your first exam. But regardless of whether you're in practice mode or you're actually sitting in your exam and you run into tech issues, we want you to know the resources that you have available. So Exam4 tech support, they do not have a 1-800 number. They don't have a phone number, but but they do have a really active webpage through which you can contact their support team. So the first thing to do is, if you're having a software issue with Exam4, some sort of compatibility issue or a security issue, you're going to get something that pops up that's either an error message or a violation number, and you'll want to write that down so you can reference it when you are going back to figure out the solution. Then you're going to go to Exam4's support page, and we'll give you the link to that. And you're going to just quickly look through their top 10 questions or use the search box, because it may be a really common issue that you can solve quickly by just identifying the answer from their list of solutions. That's probably going to be the fastest way to solve your problem. So we really encourage you to use that resource first. Then, if you don't spot the solution or it's not working, you're going to go ahead and go to the bottom of the page, and they have a support form that you can submit, and you're going to enter Georgetown Law for the institution. And so we will let you all know ahead of time on the website exactly what the business hours are and the return time, but I think they guarantee within 48 hours a response, but it's usually much faster. That's if you have an Exam 4 tech issue. If you have an electronic issue with say you're taking a take-home exam on your laptop or in Williams Computer Lab, and you're having a problem with the computer, it freezes or crashes or does something crazy on the screen, you're going to want to contact our IST department, just like you would have in the past. And they will help diagnose the problem and try to get your computer up and running. If they can get your computer up and running again, say it crashed and they can get it turned back on, the great thing about Exam4 software is it saves every 10 seconds and backs up every 2 minutes. So if they can get your computer on again, you can get back into your exam file and keep on typing and finish your exam. If for whatever reason you can't get your computer working again, you can continue your exam handwritten. But this is the recoverability is a feature that we didn't have before, and one of the things that we're most excited about with Exam4. So that's if you have a software issue or a tech issue. If you have an exam administration question or problem, say a conflict, exam conflict that you need to resolve, you're still going to go to the Office of the Registrar for that. And of course, if you need to request any accommodations, you're still going to go to the Office of Disability Services in Mara Molino to request those types of accommodations. We do also have an ethics counsel on campus. I hope that you only talk to him for good reasons, but if for any reason you need to contact him, his information is here. So I'm just going to recap big takeaways from today, and then we're happy to answer any questions you have. So the big takeaways are there were a lot of concerns about the operating system not being compatible. The updates to the operating systems for Windows and Mac not being compatible with Exam4. They have fixed that. They are now compatible. You'll be able to access that new version of Exam4 in about a week, most likely on October 31st, and we will send out an announcement, and those links will be posted on the registrar's website. That's the first thing. The second thing is, once those links are available, we really want you to get in there and try out the software. For two reasons. One, we want to make sure it's compatible with your laptop, your system, and also the word processor is a little bit different than Word. So we want to make sure you get in there, try out the tools, try the word count, try this, spacing, make sure that you're comfortable using it before you get to your first exam. And the third takeaway is we want to make sure that you know who to contact if you have any issues. So software problems, Exam4, electronic problems, IST, and all other issues, you're going to go to the Office of the Registrar. And if you just don't know who to go to, come find us. We're happy to help you figure it out. So do you guys have any questions for us? Great.
I want to use the computer in the library to take the exam. I'm wondering if I need to download Exam4 to that public.
For the October mini course exams?
Yes.
Yes, so those computers have Exam4 on them. So come see us after this, and we'll give you the information you need to access those computers. Okay. So the question, just repeating for the recording, the question is, how do we access Williams Library PCs to take the mini course take-home exams? And the answer is the information is on the website, and also if you go to the library during business hours, they'll give you the login information for it. Exam 4 is already on the computer, but come see us afterward and make sure you have all the information. Oh, hold on a second. Let me just grab a couple of.
So for an in-class open, so with the, you have access to the hard drive, but not the internet. So you'd be able to access all Microsoft Word, OneNote, all that.
Correct.
And you said that the timer doesn't work; it's turned off because you're following the clock. But could you download an app that has its own timer, and would that be affected in any way by the software?
It wouldn't be affected, but you wouldn't want to go by that timer. That timer is not going to be the official time
Right,
for the
but
exam.
you could theoretically, if you want to use it, just like to know in a half hour.
Simone, do you want to?
So this is for a take-home situation?
No, this is for an in-class.
In-class open.
And you're asking about whether or not you would want to install an app. We would highly recommend that you not, because again, the proctor is controlling the time in the in-class exam. So if your app is not in sync with the clock in the room, and you have not, officially finished, you're not going to get any additional time back. So that's a somewhat of a risk that you may be taking if you download an app and it's not in sync with the actual time that has been set by the clocks in the room.
So the other thing to consider is that depending on the access that you have in an in-class exam, if your professor does not give you hard drive access, for instance, you could be in an open book exam but you don't have hard drive access, you're not going to be able to access that app. Also, if it's a closed book exam, you're not going to be able to access that app. So even if you decide to do it, it's potentially going to be limited use for you depending on the access that your professor has given you for the exam in an in-class exam situation.
But if you are given,
If you are, again, the official time for the exam is going to be by the proctor. So regardless of what your app may tell you in terms of how much time you have, we are going to go by the time that the proctor has indicated.
Sanity, it's okay.
Sure, you can do that.
Thank you.
Okay, great. And you had what was your other question about?
Oh no, you covered both.
Okay, great. Yes.
Hi, so I have to take a mini course exam right now. So this is my exam window. So how do I go about downloading the answer software right now? Because as you said, the link would be made available later.
We have a link for you. So again, if you're taking an exam in this window right now, please come talk to us after the presentation. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
If I'm in an in-class or take-home and all of a sudden the software itself doesn't work, I know that there's a link, but would the time freeze up so that if I were to be able to take it later based on like the remainder time, would it freeze up or would it still keep on counting down?
Yeah, do you want to talk about tolling the time for electronic issues?
So in the in-class exam, again, the proctor is controlling the time. So if you experience any technical difficulties, that process is not changed. You would just raise your hand and the proctor will come to assist you, and we will, come to you, find out what the problem is. We will toll the time and we will get a tech to assist you. The tech will come to assist you. If they're able to rectify the problem, the time that they were troubleshooting, you will get that time back, but at the back end of the exam. Now, the caveat in the take-home exam, if you experienced any technical difficulties, because those are not proctored, you would have to, during business hours, you will give us a call or email the registrar's office, and we'll be able to troubleshoot with you at that time. If it's after business hours, you would immediately send an email and we will get back with you the next business day. But during that time in the take-home, if it's after business hours, once you experience that technical difficulty, you would want to not try and continue your exam at that time. And again, we will contact you the next business day.
Yeah, so if you keep working, they won't be able to toll the time, so just stop. But working, but you have to contact the list.
Stop and contact.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions or concerns? Yeah.
So I just had a question related to the disciplinary code. So if I accidentally click open with network and it's open is the actual exam, does the student disciplinary code require a willful behavior, or is an accident like that, does that get me in violation?
That's a good question. So first of all, it's virtually impossible to make that mistake. One, because it's going to be announced by the proctor, written in the instructions, written on the cover sheet, and also you have to enter it multiple times in the exam software. So you have to enter the course number multiple times and the mode multiple times. So rather than accidentally clicking something, you have to actually type it in, the whole thing, several times. And so that's the sort of threshold, right? That's the bar. So, we would look at it on a case-by-case basis if there was a violation. But just to reassure everyone, it's really unlikely that you're accidentally going to click the wrong thing.
Just following up off that. So in order to access your hard drive, I guess I'm talking about when you're allowed to access your hard drive, you access it through the Exam4 software?
No, it's just that the Exam4 software doesn't deter you from being able to open other applications on your computer.
Okay, so when it's closed, something will pop up, it stops you.
Yeah, all you'll see on your screen is the Exam4 interface, and you won't be able to go in and open any other applications.
Okay.
Where can we find this presentation? The presentation?
It will be, it's recorded, it will be transcribed, and it will be posted on the Office of the Registrar's website. Any other questions? Yes.
If I have a take-home exam for this week, how do I know if I'm going to be able to access internet or not?
So in take-home mode, if you have a take-home exam this week, it's open access to everything. Yeah, take-home is open to everything. And the thing you should know for take-home exams, the big takeaway for take-homes, is that you're going to go to 3 different places, right, to get ready for your exam. You need your exam number on the online exam and paper management system. You need the exam software, and you need to go to the website to get the questions.
To download the exam.
So just a clarification. So take-home mode will allow you to access everything on your laptops or your home computers. However, if your professor has specific instructions telling you not to access anything, you're going to be on your honor. The system will not stop you from accessing anything, but if your professor tells you you shouldn't be going on the internet or you shouldn't be going on your hard drive, you're going to be on your honor not to do that. Exam4, however, will not block you from doing it. We would hope that people would actually not access anything that their professors tell them not to. I just wanted to clarify that.
That's great. That's great. But it is open book, and I mean it's no restriction in this case. I mean,
so
what is the meaning of open book and take
for a take-home?
Yes.
So in most cases, the take-home exam, the mode on the computer will match the instructions from the professor. In one particular case that we have right now, it's the professor has specifically instructed students not to consult other materials. And so it's on the student's honor not to do that, even though the computer itself the software isn't restricting you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? Yes.
Are there still exam templates, or do we set up our own documents for in-class exams?
So there are no longer with the Exam4 software, there are no longer specific templates. So once you launch your Exam4 software page, once you're ready to begin, you just start typing. So there's no longer any templates. Yes.
Saw that you can insert dividers between answers. That doesn't count towards the word count, right?
Can you repeat that? I didn't hear you.
So you can insert dividers between answers, but when you insert those dividers, I noticed one of my tests might have a word count limit.
Yes, so it's actually called the answer separator. And that's a great question because, again, we stress that when you're doing your practice exams, you want to go in to make sure that that actually works. So when you say, like you just said, your professor has a specific word count for maybe just one specific question, you will apply that answer separator. And I think it's on the right-hand side. There's a tool there that will tell you how many words that you have typed thus far. So that's what that would apply for you.
And you were asking whether the answer separator changes, like will it count answer one
Exactly.
as part of your words? No. It'll just count the words that you type. Any other questions? Yeah.
And I want to ask when I do the take-home exam, if I have something very emergent to do, can I pause the time to do that thing, or I just cannot pause time?
Let's talk offline just after this, and I think we'll be able to answer your take-home questions in particular for where you're. Any other questions before we end? Okay, well, thank you again for coming today. We really appreciate your time.
Ya se está el examen, pero cuando lo tienes para bajar el examen, no te puedes bajar y mañana lo voy a